Good morning, Kerry from the Soap Coach here, and today we are talking, it's twofold really. I'm talking about how you can save more time in your soap and skincare business, and also the main part of that is embracing technology and getting on board with AI in order to do that. And it's a topic that I come up against time and time again, is how to get everything done, feeling like you're at capacity, not being able to wear all the hats, or having to wear all the hats but not having the time to wear all the hats that a small business owner has these days. But also it surprises me how many people are either resistant to AI or don't know how to use it or haven't quite got on board with it. And that's not a criticism in any way, shape or form, which is why I'm doing this video, really, to just try and bring it to the forefront of your mind, because I believe that this may be one of the most practical changes or shifts that you can make in your business this year if you haven't already done so. So keep an open mind. If you haven't been on board about ChatGPT or any of the other things that are out there, then keep an open mind, hear me out, and then let me know at the end what you think. The thing is, back in the day, 20 years ago, small business owners like ourselves, we didn't have to worry about a lot of the things that we have to do now. We probably just rocked up to the local craft show, sold our products, didn't really sell online because the ability to have a website and things, it wasn't there in quite the same way. There wasn't any social media in the way that we've got it now. So our products were sold very locally with footfall that came to us, and we didn't have to worry about it. But change has happened over that time, and a lot of it has come in probably without us even noticing it. So to think about what we do now, obviously social media is part of our everyday lives, love it or hate it. We use it, we expect to use it, we expect to be able to try and reach our customers using it. Canva is another one. It's obviously an online design tool that many of us use to design our labels and leaflets, flyers, business cards, that kind of thing. But that wasn't around 20 years ago. We would have had to have relied on going to a local designer or printer and getting things done for us and paying to have that done for us. Using our phone to tap and pay at the till, obviously that's quite normal now, but we didn't do that back in the day. In fact, cash is, I'm not saying cash shouldn't be used, because I love cash, and I wish that I wish we hadn't progressed in quite the way we have, but we have. But my point being, a lot of these things we may have resisted, we may have felt a bit uncomfortable with, but we've taken it on board and it's now part of our everyday life. And if we hadn't done any of that, we would be left way behind our competitors, our peers in private and business life. So yeah, it's unfortunately or fortunately, change is inevitable. And AI is one of those things. In fact, just going back to thinking about how things worked 20 years ago, we used to have to advertise in like yellow pages, which for those of you who were too young to remember the yellow pages, it's like a great big phone book where all the businesses used to advertise in. And that was pretty much the only way you could get the word out about your business and how to contact you, things in shop windows or notice boards, that kind of thing. And if we were still just doing that now, in fact, I don't think the yellow pages even is a thing anymore. So you couldn't. So if we tried to stick to it, we would have been left way behind, and we certainly would not be in business. And the other thing I just want to point out is you're probably using AI without even realizing. So just to give you a few suggestions on that, if you were to think of autocorrect on your mobile phone, when you're putting in words and it corrects it for you, that's AI ticking away in the background. If you're getting directions on Google Maps, AI ticking around in the background. If you're talking to Alexa or Google or Siri, AI ticking along in the background. Netflix, when it makes suggestions for you, that's AI ticking along in the background. So it's become one of those things that I think is normal, but we may not always realize that we're using it. So how do I use AI in my business? And I've used it quite a lot now for probably a good year, and I use it in both businesses. So this is a service-based business and my dog and I is a product-based business, and obviously the way I use it in both businesses does vary. I'm one of those people who likes to be in control. I think most of us are like that. I like to be in control. I like to know what's happening. I like to have an input. I like it to sound like me. I know how I want things worded. I don't want my stuff to sound all stuffy and over professional. I like it to be quite a warm and friendly tone. I obviously need that to come across in AI, but it's easy to get that to happen, to tell it to sound like you. The other thing is there's this misconception that if you use AI to help you in your work, it will copy content off the internet, or it will not sound like you, or it will not be correct. There may be things that are not right in there. But none of that is true, providing you use it correctly. Okay, and I will talk about that. So in a nutshell, I still write all my own content. I still do my teaching, my planning. I make all my own decisions, but I use AI to speed that up for me, smooth it out. And also it helps take away that blank page syndrome that I think most of us probably get sometimes. So let me give you some real life examples of how I use it. Now, every month I try to create some form of content in this business and my product business, which is my base content for the month. So in the Dog and I, it will be a blog. And in this business, it's a video. Normally, this is this month's video. And then I turn that into a blog. So I'm going to stick with product based because that's what this is really about. So in my Dog and I business, I'll decide what I'm going to write a blog about, and then I'll plug into AI some bullet points and facts and information, things that I want to talk about. And then I will ask it to draft a blog for me based on that. Now, last month, I was talking about using branding, not being the loudest. You don't have to be the loudest product in the room to be visible. And I made it into a bit of a story, and I plugged all this information into AI, and I got it to draft the blog for me, and it did a really good job. And not only does it use the bullet points and the information that I wanted it to, but it also came up with a couple of things that I knew but I didn't think about, so we included that in there as well. So that's just a very quick overview of how it works. Then I used it to pull a quote from the blog to use on social media. I used it to pull out some facts to create a carousel for social media. I can't remember what else I did. I also used some of it and turned it into a newsletter, which again, it took it from the blog and turned it into content that I could put in a newsletter for me. So the original content, the blog, was me, my thoughts, my knowledge, my views, but put in a easy to read format by AI, and then turned into social media, turned into a newsletter. And yeah, so I won't go on and on and on about it, but that's just an overview on how I used it for that particular task. I also use it to help me do tech things. So I've had quite a few issues with my website over the last few months, and I will ask AI, I'll tell it, I'm on Shopify, I've got the motion theme, this is my problem, how do I sort it? It doesn't always come up with a solution, but sometimes it will give me a really good starting point. And it will solve that problem for me. I know of a lady in my community who was struggling to get her website connected with Meta so that she could tag her products in Facebook and Instagram. Talked her through that step by step, and she got that done immediately, or pretty much immediately, which is brilliant. I've also used it to generate product descriptions for me. So I can plug in my product, my ingredients. It knows already, because I've already trained it, my ethics and what's important to me and who my target customer is. And it will write a product description for me. And then I just tweak it, and then I'll ask it to just optimize it for SEO using current standards. It does that for me too. So it saves me so much time. I've also used it to help me write emails. Again, I can just write a rough email. Sometimes I'll write an email and it just doesn't read very well. So I'll cut and paste it into AI and say, can you just rewrite this for me? And it always does a brilliant job. So it's just small things like that. So it helps me be more professional as well. But the key to this is I am still in control. I give it the basics. I tell it what I want. It knows what I want it to sound like. I tell it to speak in British English, for example, and then it just does what I ask it to do. And it saves me so much time. I can't even begin to explain. Now, I know that there's a lot of concern about putting people out of jobs and that kind of thing. But used like this, that isn't the case. It just does a better job for me. So rather than me sending out something which I may not be 100% happy with, or which I think is slightly substandard, it fine tunes that and improves it all for me. And also maybe means I can work a few hours less a month or do some extra work each month, because I wouldn't be paying somebody to do these things for me anyway. So it supports me in so many ways. So there are a lot of things it cannot do for you, and rightly so, if I'm honest. It can't make decisions for you, and who would want it to make decisions for you anyway? You can brainstorm with it and you can have a bit of a conversation backwards and forwards and get some ideas and inspiration, but obviously you need to make the final decision. It can't connect with other people, it can't go live, it can't create products for you. Obviously, it can't make your products for you. I wish it could sometimes. But the point is, it doesn't need to do everything. It just needs to do some of the more boring admin tasks that are quite time consuming, and that will be a life changer for you, a game changer for you. I did a questionnaire in my soap suite a few weeks ago about what you find most time consuming and what you maybe would like more support with. And it was interesting because some of the tasks that came up were the ones that AI can't do completely. So it can't create PIF files for you, but it can do some of the work. It can't upload all your products to the UK portal, but it can do some of that work. And I'll talk about that a bit more in a moment. But if it can just save you a short amount of time every week, 2 or 3 hours a week, it's got to be worth looking at, because time is the one thing, as I keep saying, time is the one thing that we can't get more of. And we've all got the same amount of time, and it's obviously a finite thing. So inside the Soap Suite, obviously my main aim is to help people, support them, make sure they can have the resources available to grow their businesses. And that's one reason why I'm doing a proper introduction talk presentation on AI for those members who have not really got on board with it yet. But what are the things I'm going to talk about is how you can use it. So Soap Suite members, listen up, how you can use it to create CSV files for uploading to the portal, which is about half the work. So if you create a workflow and then tell it what you're doing, and that's easy, we can just upload a document with your recipe, etc., to it. It will create a CSV file so that you can then just upload that to the portal with your formulation. It does it all for you, and it's just a game changer. So that's just one of the things that we're going to be talking about in a couple of weeks' time. And who wouldn't want that, really? Who wouldn't want half the work removed for them? So my closing thoughts on this are, I've waffled quite a lot. I know I've waffled quite a lot. I am sorry. Is we can't use AI to do everything for us. It's not perfect. It's not a replacement for you, but it will make life much easier for you. It will save time for you. You don't need to know exactly how to use it straight away. It works best if you have a conversation with it and brainstorm. And as time goes on, you will develop more and more ways of using it and claim some of your life back, claim some of your time back. And that's important, I think. So yeah, sorry if I've waffled. Thank you for listening. If you stuck it to the end, well done. Let me know what you think, and let me know whether this has maybe motivated you to just give it some thought.